Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I have the final part of Enemy Front for you guys. Thank you guys for being patient with me with this series. It's just that when I started this series, a lot of other games had come out, and so I didn't always have a time to upload this, but whenever I start a series, I always do finish it. And so on this part, we're gonna have the final part of the game. Overall, I did enjoy this game a lot. It's a different kind of World War II game. And so we got two final missions. The final day in the fall of Warsaw. This I already know is going to do expert here. I hope you guys like my cosplay for this, but I already know this is gonna end bad. The Warsaw Uprising, this was the largest uprising of World War II. This happened in August of 1944 and went on until the first week of October 1944. And the Polish resistance, the Polish underground, they were called the Home Army, or Armia Krajowa in Polish. They were surrounded, cut off, and the uprising ended. They lost in the end. And so I'm not sure how this is going to end. But I do know that the Warsaw Uprising, in the end, the resistance did not win. They got surrounded and cut off, and what ended up happening to them is a lot of them actually ended up getting sent to concentration camps. So this is probably going to be really sad, and also does affect me a bit because I'm a Polish American. This is my parents' country.
This is Warsaw calling. This is Warsaw calling all the free nations. Today is the 62nd day of the uprising. The end of the Nazi Reich is at hand. Many here in Warsaw may not live to see that bright day. But I have no doubt our struggles here have brought that day much closer for all the world. This is Warsaw calling. Robert Hawkins, signing off.
Lernen die denn nie? Die Gebäude da drüben überprüfen. Scheinen gute Verstecke für diese Ratten zu sein.
Okay. We're in the clear here for now. Also, for you guys wondering how a bar rifle got into occupied Poland, the Polish army actually used an American bar, chambered in 8mm Mauser. That was one of the standard machine guns of the Polish army before the war. So this is the Polish version of the bar, not the American version. My God. The Nazis had committed horrible atrocities against the civilians in Warsaw. Thousands of civilians have been murdered. And after the uprising, Hitler had been so furious with the uprising, he ordered the entire city to be destroyed, and Nazi soldiers went door to door with flamethrowers, just burning people alive in their homes. Apteka, that means pharmacy in Polish. That's the symbol of the Polish resistance. I have that on my hat.
Aufwachen! Im Namen Deutschland! Sofort diese Tür aufmachen!
I'm with the home army. It's safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get to the river. The evacuation has already started.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Shit!
Aufstehen! Ich sehe ihn! Ich brauche Munition!
Damn. After the Warsaw Uprising, 95% of the buildings in the city had been destroyed. If you just go on Google Images and just look up a picture of what Warsaw looked like after the uprising, the entire city is just ruined. It's completely destroyed. And that was done intentionally. Most of that destruction was done after the Warsaw Uprising, where the Nazis had deliberately destroyed civilian buildings. This was after the uprising, after the resistance had surrendered.
Take one. I'll deal with the other.
I have scouted the area ahead. It is crawling with Germans, but we must move through the tram depot to get to the river. They're repairing tanks in that garage to the left, so we should try and destroy them.
Get 3 explosives and destroy tanks in workshop.
Please, we are not home army, just people. No!
Madness. Madness. Okay. The choice forward is yours. You can cover me from here, or you can advance into the depot and I'll cover you.
I'll take a sniping
I'm
spot.
a better shot. Indeed. Okay.
Thousands of
I'll meet you in the
civilians
sewers
had
on the
been
other side of
murdered
the
during the
depot.
Warsaw Uprising, and in the Wola massacre, between 40 to 50,000 civilians were murdered by the SS. Okay, I gotta cover Kozera here. Okay, if I fire right when the Stukas fly over, it'll cover the shots. These guys are definitely SS here. Oh, they got a half-track back there.
Hey, geht es dir gut?
Got him.
Er ist hier
Okay.
drüben! Ich brauche Munition!
Gotta help Kozera out here. Okay.
Ich brauche
There we go. So this is the SVT-40 Soviet semi-automatic rifle, chambered in 7.62 by 54R, the same cartridge as the Mosin Nagant. The thing about this gun is that the SVT-40 was supposed to be the standard issue gun of the Red Army, but what ended up happening is when Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, they didn't have as many of them produced as they wanted to, and so they started mass-producing the Mosin Nagant, which was easier to mass-produce.
Das Schießen draußen hat aufgehört.
Siehst du, ich hab dir gesagt, es ist kein Problem.
Bringen Sie den dritten Einsatztrupp zum Fluss runter. Dort sind viele Zivilisten, die versuchen zu entkommen. Finden Sie sie.
Jawohl!
Shit.
Charge is perfect. 9-second explosive, okay. So, notice how he said, there are civilians trying to escape, find them. The Nazis had been targeting civilians that were trying to escape the city. They didn't care. And Warsaw was the most destroyed city in all of Europe at the end of World War II. 90 to 95% of all buildings were destroyed. Crap, how am I gonna get through this? Okay. Here, have that. The guy was in a good position up there, okay.
Kontakt! Nageln Sie fest!
Okay, gotta find those explosives now. Okay, find the third explosive. That was a really good shot. Okay. Let's see, worse. Oh, PPSH, okay. Will come in handy, definitely. Oh, there we go. Right, first tank and workshop. Okay, let's take care of this. Okay. All tanks are destroyed.
Kozera!
Hawkins, you're alive.
Surprised?
Always. Come, the river is close.
Gas rein! Treibt sie raus!
Shit, come on!
Gas.
Right! Left here! Straight ahead! Here! Left! Move! Don't stop! Shit! In here.
Yeah, those are Stuka's attack planes.
No! They were supposed to wait!
For enemy tank to save civilians. Oh. Whoa, whoa.
Kozera! 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 Kozera!
What the? Get off! So they're escaping over the Vistula. The Vistula is a large river that's right outside of Warsaw. This did happen.
We're going to make it! Thank you! Thank you!
Oh, is that it there? Oh, I guess that's it then, that they escaped. But they lost the city. But, let me tell you guys a few things about this historical event. So, you never see the Warsaw Uprising in World War II games. I can't really think of any other World War II game where you've seen it. Despite it being the largest uprising in Europe in World War II, you don't see it really in any World War II games. And this right here that I'll show you guys, I'm going to show you guys a few pictures. This is a picture of what Warsaw actually looked like before the war. And this is what a Warsaw looked like in 1945. That is what the Nazis had done to the city. And most of that destruction that you actually see in that picture, most of that destruction was intentional. They were intentionally targeting civilian areas. Most of that city that was destroyed there was destroyed after the Warsaw Uprising. What happened was the resistance was cut off. They were surrounded. They had no choice but to surrender at that point. They were completely encircled. Early on in the Warsaw Uprising, the resistance did have the upper hand. They did actually manage to push the Nazis out of a lot of Warsaw, but then the Nazis came back with tanks, heavy armor, and support later on, and it was just too much for the resistance to handle. The resistance did hold out for basically from August all the way up until the first week of October 1944, and the Warsaw Uprising could have succeeded. It could have, but why didn't it succeed? It didn't succeed in the end because of a lack of Soviet support. So that river that you actually saw the resistance actually crossing at the end, that actually did happen, where people were evacuating and they were escaping across the river. That was basically towards the Soviet lines. So once they had gotten across that river, they were relatively safe. That's where the Red Army was stationed. Now, the Red Army, and Stalin specifically, they wanted the Warsaw Uprising to fail. They wanted the resistance in Poland to be crushed. And you're probably wondering, why would the Soviets want the uprising to fail? Aren't they fighting against the Nazis also? The Soviets were fighting against the Nazis. However, though, one of the main reasons that the Warsaw Uprising was launched is because the resistance members, they wanted to be able to create their own government. They wanted to create their own independent government in Warsaw. And what would happen is, if the resistance had managed to push the Nazis out of Warsaw, and then the Soviets rolled in, that new government that was in Warsaw, the Western Allies would have immediately recognized that as the new Polish government. And then if Stalin tried to remove that new Polish government, he would have been seen as an aggressor. And so what Stalin wanted is, Stalin wanted the resistance to be crushed so that he could basically create a puppet communist government in Poland. And a lot of these resistance fighters, the ones that did manage to survive the Warsaw Uprising, what happened to them is they went through another nightmare again. So they went through the nightmare of Nazi occupation, and then they went through the nightmare of Soviet occupation. A lot of the resistance members, a lot of them actually, if they survived World War II, a lot of them actually ended up being killed off by Stalin and the new Polish-backed Soviet secret police. So a lot of these resistance fighters were anti-communist. They wanted a free and independent Poland. And so it was just nightmare after nightmare. First this German occupation, and then the Soviet occupation. Stalin went back on his promises to have a free election in Poland. He rigged the elections and had anybody killed that went against him. It was just horrible. And as for the prisoners, if you want to know what ended up happening to the prisoners, the resistance had negotiated with the Nazis to be basically treated as prisoners of war. Because if they had not negotiated to be treated as prisoners of war, then they could have been executed. And what ended up happening is, even though the Nazis had agreed to treat the Polish resistance as prisoners of war, thousands of resistance fighters ended up getting sent to concentration camps, where a lot of them did not survive. But the story gets even worse, guys. What's even more sad about this is one of the top SS commanders, one of the guys that was responsible, a huge part of the Wola massacre, where 40 to 50,000 Polish civilians were murdered during the uprising. His name was Heinz Reinfarth. And this guy was really evil, like really one of the worst of the SS. After the war, this guy had escaped to West Germany, and the new Polish government had wanted him extradited. The German government, the West German government, had refused to extradite him to Poland, claiming that there was a lack of evidence. Absolute BS, absolute nonsense. That guy was clearly guilty of thousands of deaths in Poland, and it just outraged Polish people. The communist government in Poland was a piece of crap, but one thing that they were right on is that they were right on trying to extradite Heinz Reinfarth, because that guy was a mass murderer, and that guy should have been extradited to Poland to face justice, and he should have been hanged in Poland. But what happened was the West German government did not want to extradite him, and the story gets even worse. He did not get imprisoned even in West Germany. He didn't. He got away with it. And what happened is, he got elected as mayor of a town in Germany. I forget the name of the town, but he was elected as mayor of a town in Germany. This has happened in the late 50s or the early 60s, and then he was elected as a member of their parliament. And what happened is, he got a general's pension. A general's pension. So he got the pension of a soldier, even though he was a mass murderer, a killer. And what ended up happening is the guy lived a life until the late 70s, I think early 80s when he died. And the West German government constantly kept saying there was no evidence, we couldn't extradite him, even though this was a top guy in the SS. After World War II, after the Cold War, in, I think it was the late 2000s, the 2010, somewhere around there, the German government actually apologized. They apologized for never extraditing the guy and for giving the guy a general's pension. But it just, honestly, just me as a Polish, an American with just Polish roots, it honestly pisses me the F off that that guy had gotten away with it, that guy never had been extradited to Poland to face charges for all the civilians that he had murdered. And I don't know what was wrong with the German government that they didn't want to extradite that guy, but they were protecting him, basically. It's just disgusting. But that is the end of Enemy Front here, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this game. I had a lot of fun playing this game. I'm sorry this game went on for so long. I started in August and I didn't finish until December. It's because I had so many other games that were coming out, and I had so many lore projects and guides that I were working on that this playthrough constantly kept getting pushed and pushed back. But the thing about this is whenever I start a playthrough, I always finish it. Whenever I start a playthrough. So that is my mission, basically, to finish every playthrough that I start. So I did have a lot of fun with this game. I know this wasn't that popular of a playthrough, but I really did enjoy this game. And it didn't have that big of a budget, but for what they did, they tried. And the developers of this game did pretty well. If you're wondering, the developer of this game, what else they make the Sniper Ghost Warrior games. That is what they also make. Maybe they'll make another Enemy Front game one day. Maybe they'll do that. Or maybe they'll make a remake of this game. Probably not. But we'll have to see. But you see a lot of Polish names here, because this was a Polish developer. And that's probably the main reason that you saw this game being set largely during the Warsaw Uprising. Which, again, like I was saying, is despite it being the largest uprising of World War II, you never really hear it, you never really hear about it in many World War II games. One World War II movie, there is Warsaw 1944, a recent Polish film that came out that covers the Warsaw Uprising, but there's also The Pianist. The Pianist is a pretty old movie, I think it's like 20 years old. The Pianist actually does cover a good chunk of the Warsaw Uprising. It shows the massive destruction of it, and just how the Nazis had destroyed the city with flamethrowers after the battle. But that's one of the worst crimes of World War II, the complete destruction of Warsaw, an entire city deliberately destroyed, civilians deliberately targeted, an entire city just reduced to absolute rubble. One of the darkest chapters in Polish history. But thank you guys for watching. I had a lot of fun playing this game, and again, if you enjoyed this series, do drop a like, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.